Well, hello friends and welcome back. It's the almost daily vlog here at Life in the Higham house, and my name is Jay. Thanks so much for coming back after a great weekend. I hope you had a great weekend. We had a great weekend. Actually, we had a phenomenal weekend. We went and Amy works for Young Life, as you're aware. She works for Young Life Capernaum, which is their ministry to students with disabilities. We love being a part of it. It's an incredible opportunity for ministry, but it's also an incredible way to make some friends and watch God do some really amazing things in the lives of our friends and in our lives. But when away this weekend, it was our area's, they call it the leader and committee member weekend. It's a chance to go and get some training, get some encouragement, make some connections, do some networking, do some planning, do some dreaming. And Amy and I had the opportunity to lead a workshop all talking about Capernaum and the ministry to students with disabilities. And it was just awesome. It was really cool to see an organization recognizing and reaching out and trying to look for ways to not just serve students with disabilities, but to come alongside of them and have them serving with us. So it's not just a ministry to the students, it's a ministry with the students, and that's really, really fun. And we're excited to be a part of that, and the weekend was just a great time to go and be a part of that. And so we're coming back, and man, we have got another busy week this week. It's a short week because we've got some things coming up this coming weekend. But I find myself in the garage again today because we have allowed a few things to pile up, and I need to do some work on the truck. So I need to straighten some of these things out to make space so we can bring the truck in, because we need it this weekend. And so what needs to get fixed has to get fixed today or this week. So we're going to go through and try to make some sense of all of this over here, and then try to make some sense of all of this back here, which I've been kind of putting off, but now we need to do it because I got to get into this space here. And it's great because it's kind of a gray day, but it's cold enough that we've got snow falling in the yard again. You can't see it through the window here, but it is snowing, which is awesome because the thing that we're hoping to do soon is do a little snowboarding with the kids coming up here in a little bit. And so more snow just means there's more of an opportunity to go and do that. So let's go ahead and get into this. And then I'm going to come back and talk a little bit more about Capernaum and something that Amy and I have been kind of starting to talk about that I want to get into. Plus, if you haven't seen today's blog post, you want to make sure, oh my goodness, looks like Rex is out here. Rex is on the door. I think he hears my voice. There he is. There he is. What are you doing out there, boy? All right, let me let him in real quick. I'm going to share with you a little bit more about Capernaum and student ministry and ministry to students with disability. But I'll do that towards the end of the video. Let me get working here. And hey, Rex, what are you doing outside? I know it's cold, so let me get to work here. All right, so I'm back. Garage is done. Truck is in the garage. When the kids come home from school tonight, the boys and I are going to dig into that and get that problem fixed on the truck. That way we have it for the weekend. But I wanted to come back on and I want to wrap things up here because I wanted to talk about the weekend that we just had. First of all, it's Monday as I'm recording this, and I'm getting it done quick so I can post it this afternoon so it could go live on Monday. Being away this weekend, I didn't get any extra vlogging done. We were focused on what we were doing. We were enjoying some downtime, Amy and I were, and we were just connecting with folks while we were away. And so I didn't get any vlogging done of any sort. So I'm trying to get back to doing every one a day, but it is the almost daily vlog. So I have promised myself I will not kill myself to try to post every single day, although my goal is Monday through Friday. So Monday, we want to get something up on Monday. And then I'll record something for Tuesday, but we'll probably do that tomorrow. Here's what I want to get back on and say. I've been working with students for a very long time. We stepped out of local church student ministry at the end of 2022. After 2022, Amy with her cancer, then losing her dad, then losing my dad, and sensing that God was doing something different, beginning to call us to something different, we decided to step out of ministry and kind of just do some healing and seek God and what He has for us. And so we've been on this journey all through 2023 of what God are you calling us to next. At the same time, with Amy working Capernaum and me wanting to be able to continue to be with students in some way, I just kind of doubled down with her and said, I'm just gonna be your right hand person for the year for Capernaum, and we're just gonna pour our attention and our efforts and our resources, and we're just gonna have fun with Capernaum. What I didn't expect is for that to kind of ignite a real interest in ministry to students with disabilities. Throughout the course of my career, there have been times when we've had students step into our ministry. Some of them were on the autism spectrum. We've been in churches where we've gotten to know students and young adults who had disabilities. And when we worked at Pine Springs, one of the weeks of camp that we would run was a week of camp for students and young adults with disability. So, and even back as a teenager, I spent three out of my 4 high school summers working at a camp that our denomination hosted for students with disabilities. So for a week every summer I would go and serve on as a counselor and program staff. And so I think in some ways I've always kind of been aware and have thought about what does it look like for us to serve students with disabilities. But this last year, in working with our students at Capernaum and working closely with Amy and kind of diving into what it looks like for us to really connect and build relationships with them, I think there's been a little chord that's been struck. And this past weekend, what we did is we led an exercise in helping youth workers kind of feel for themselves where they might fall as they think about, like, where their attitudes fall, as they think about students with disabilities. And there's a great tool for that, and at some point I'll share it, but I'm going to keep it where it is now because it's a resource that someone else put out, and Young Life is using it, and so we were teaching through that. But I'm going to reach out to the organization myself and see if we can't use some of that, because what I hope to do in the next month or so, I think that'd be a big part of this ministry that I'm going to step into. We can use that in some way. But it's kind of brought me to the place where, looking at students with disabilities in a new and fresh way. And I know this isn't a youth worker vlog. This is a personal vlog. And so I want to try to move it from this is what we do as part of our ministry and shift it to more of here's what I think we need to be doing as individuals. And that is really getting us to think about how we engage, how we interact, how we build relationships with folks with disabilities. And I'm not going to offer any solutions now. I just want to pose the question of, when you think of a person with a disability, what do you think of? And how do you see yourself responding to that? Now, we've got a number of friends that are teachers or work somewhere with students with disabilities, which I think is super cool, and it's man, what an awesome opportunity for someone to have, to be able to work alongside. But I guess for me, what I'm trying to share is, in these stages, you go through them, and it's a way to evaluate where you are. How do you think of them? How do you see them? How do you relate and connect with them? And without going through all of them, I want to just share the last stage, the fifth stage, which is the goal stage. And that is seeing them as co-laborers. And I think over this last year, I find myself looking more intently at that. What does it look like for us to consider folks with disabilities as co-laborers? I think a lot of times we think of them as people who we could reach out, we could serve, we could help them in some way, or maybe do something that makes their life better. And that's a real kind of, selfish thought. But now I'm thinking more along the lines of, what does it look like for us to see them and come alongside of them as co-laborers? And it's becoming more and more of a reality, because as we work with our students with Capernaum, we're seeing our students moving from an introduction to who Jesus is to an understanding of who Jesus is, and then more exciting, we're beginning them to see and want to become part of the work that Jesus has called us to be disciples that make disciples. And the church that we are participating with right now, the one that we attend and have our small group through, is a church that greatly highlights and promotes and champions for that kind of process, or that thought that they are co-laborers. And so I just wanted to kind of come back on here and maybe challenge us to be thinking, whether we're in ministry, whether we're not in ministry, wherever we find ourselves, how are we thinking about folks with disabilities? And are we looking and seeing them as co-laborers, made in God's image, gifted by God, a part of the body, and really an integral part of the body? They're a part of what heaven's going to look like. And so how are we incorporating them? How are we including them in our personal lives, in our church lives, in our ministries? And I feel like I kind of want to do something along the lines of youth ministry too, and I'll do that as a separate thing. But I think it has to start first with me, with how I see them, with maybe you as an individual, not as a ministry leader or anybody else, but just as how do we think through, how do we connect with, how do we move to a place where we are co-laborers with our friends with disabilities. I know I want to have that conversation. And I want to talk more about that, because this weekend was a weekend that we, in just talking about it and telling our story and sharing our ministry, had some thoughts about how that might look for other ministries. And that's going to lead to, I think, a ministry post. And that's not what the Almost Daily Vlog is about. So let me leave it with this. The challenge is, how do you engage with folks with disabilities? How do you incorporate them into your life? How do you include them within your inner circles? How do you serve and co-labor next to them? And I hope you have that chance to, because when you do, seriously, it's incredible. It is the most fun, the most rewarding, and the chance to come alongside of somebody and work with them and see how God uses them. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And so think about that. Be curious if you want to share a comment below. Share a comment below. If you just want to let it kind of percolate and you wrestle with that a little bit, then by all means wrestle with it. But we'll definitely be back. All right. So thanks. It's Monday. It's the Almost Daily Vlog here, Life in the Higham House, and we'll catch you next time.